Hi folks, Speedway Tag here. Got a bit of a different review today. Safari Roundup is one of the first ever board games that I got back in the early 70s. The game that was actually produced in 1973 by Waddingtons. And I've still got mine, almost 40 years later. And it's a game of 2 to 3 players. And look, that box was a much brighter green and yellow, and so it's quite faded after sitting in a garage for decades. But the board still looks pretty good. The colors are still reasonably vibrant. I really like the design of this board. I like the artifacts in the corner, the native artifacts. And so basically, this is a very old board game which I haven't seen anything about on the internet. So I thought I'd do a quick video, kind of a retro review, because strangely enough, I still play this game. It comes with 3 different animals. So it's got lions. Right here, the lions, and they're really good quality plastic animals. Then you've got rhinoceroses over there, and then over here, if you want a third player, there are elephants as well, and there's 50 fences. Very simple game of chess-like quality. You move one of your animals and then you place a fence, and you move your animals to avoid getting trapped in an enclosure of 8 or less squares, and you're putting fences down in your turn as well to try and trap your opponent's animals. So for example, the way this game has been going so far, that rhinoceros is in a lot of trouble, because all I have to do is on my turn, I have to move somewhere. I can move as many spaces as I want in a straight line. I can also jump over animals. So if I wanted to move my lion this way, I could actually jump that rhinoceros and land on the square directly after it if I wanted to. That's allowed. You can't move diagonally though, and you can't jump fences. But like I was saying, that rhinoceros is in big trouble. So if I might move my lion here so I can get out this way a bit later, and head out that way, and then I get to place a fence. If I place that fence right there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares, which is less than 8, of course, and that rhinoceros gets removed from the board, and now it's 3 to 2, sorry. And so that keeps moving on. So he might actually jump my line and end up here, and then place a fence and try and start corralling in my line over here. I might get wind of that and try and get out of that enclosure, but there's not much place for that lion to go. So he might head out into the middle, and I might place a fence over here. Therefore, that rhinoceros now is in a group of 7 squares, so he's gone too. So he's off the board. This guy's, his last rhinoceros is left. He might jump over my lion, place a fence here to try and continue to block my lion in, but there's more than 8 spaces there in that enclosure. The sides are considered fences as well, so I've got a little bit of room to move still there. And this will just go on and on until the interesting strategy of the game starts to kick in as more and more fences get on the board, and you have to try and get your animals out of enclosures or potential enclosures, and try and corral your opponent's animals into the rapidly diminishing areas that you can escape to on the board. It's actually quite fun. It's not super thinky. Eventually, I think playing after a number of times, you probably start to work out a formula that if your opponent hasn't, you'll probably end up winning every single time. But if you're evenly matched, I think it'll be a nice little 10 to 15 minutes of interesting fun just for a change, and just to get that interesting, weird feeling of playing a board game that's over almost 40 years old. But as you can see, the components are very good, and it's a fun little game. So there's a little peek into history. Safari Roundup. See you later.